So have you ever wondered why Ghost Recon Breakpoint missed the mark when it was released back in October of 2019? Well, we might finally have some answers on why we went from a living, breathing world of Bolivia in Ghost Recon Wildlands to a barren wasteland looter shooter that had more RPG elements than some RPG games. Hey everyone, my name is Juan Solo with A Squad Gaming, and if this is your first time here on the channel, welcome. It's very good to have you. If you enjoy the content, feel free to hit that subscribe button to stay up to date on all of the ins and outs of the Ghost Recon franchise. For those of you that have been here a time or two, welcome back. So hopping right into the video today, I want to clarify that all of this is from a little bit of research that I have done and my personal opinions. This is basically my hot take on the events that transpired during the development and post-launch of Ghost Recon Breakpoint. None of the information that is in today's video is from any of the developers of Ghost Recon or anyone from Ubisoft. So with that out of the way, you guys would have noticed in the thumbnail that there were two drastically different sets of character models. The ones on the right being what were originally planned for Ghost Recon Breakpoint, and the ones on the left were the ones that we got in the full release of the game. So not too long ago, I was just browsing the cyberspace looking for some Ghost Recon content that I have never seen before, and I came across an image that was quite interesting, and the caption that went along with said image was even more interesting. So the image that I'm actually talking about is this one here, and this is a concept image of Yellowleg and Flycatcher, who were two of Walker's Wolf lieutenants in Ghost Recon Breakpoint. And as you can see, these look nothing like the actual character models that we got to see in the full release of the game. And let's be honest, these two character models look incredible, and they look more in line with what the wolves should have been from the very start. The fact that all of the wolves wear capes in the game still mind boggles me to this day. So without straying too far off topic, going back to the caption that went along with this image really clarified what happened during the development of Ghost Recon Breakpoint. It goes on to say that this is concept art of Yellowleg and Flycatcher, who are two of the main bosses from Ghost Recon Breakpoint, but due to lack of time, it was later decided to remove them from the game. So this is something that I've speculated on for quite some time. Ghost Recon Wildlands had at least 5 full years of development, and it was released in March of 2017. It also had a number of DLCs and special operations and a year 2 expansion to go along with that. The final DLC released in early 2019, where we were introduced to Cole Walker in Operation Oracle, and then about a month later we got the reveal trailer for Ghost Recon Breakpoint on May 9th of that same year. At this point in time, it had only been 2 years and 2 months since the release of Ghost Recon Wildlands, and Ubisoft was now announcing a new fully fleshed out Ghost Recon game that was to be released just 5 months later on October 4th of 2019. So this is where the main point of this video comes in, and that is I strongly feel as if the developers were told by Ubisoft that they had to pump out another Ghost Recon game in an extremely short amount of time. So instead of having a full 5 years to really fully flesh out an open world third-person tactical shooter like they did with Ghost Recon Wildlands, the developers were possibly forced to make several cutbacks to the core game mechanics, which is why we didn't see AI teammates until almost a year post-launch. There were also a number of features that were staples in Ghost Recon Wildlands that just seemed to have disappeared in Ghost Recon Breakpoint, including the living, breathing open world full of NPCs. There also seemed to be cutbacks when it came to the in-game gunsmith, as well as some of the character customization features, and once again, I feel like this all comes back to the developers not having enough time to make the Ghost Recon game that they wanted to make. I've actually thought about this a few times over the last couple of weeks, but imagine if the developers over at Ghost Recon would have had another full year or even 2 years to fully flesh out and develop Ghost Recon Breakpoint. Maybe we could have had the Operation Motherland DLC at the start of the game. So basically the entire game would have been built around that premise to everything you do in the game has consequences or actions that affect the world. That was definitely the coolest DLC for Ghost Recon Breakpoint, but if the developers actually did have more time to work on the core game, I think we could have had a proper sequel to Ghost Recon Wildlands, because with the movement and the animations and things in Ghost Recon Breakpoint, it is definitely better than Ghost Recon Wildlands. It definitely missed the mark with the living, breathing open world, but I think, like I said, if the developers would have had more time, they wouldn't have had to came up with the island is under martial law and that's why there's nobody out on the streets. I think that was just sort of a backstory to them not having enough time to fully develop the game, because that was definitely one of the coolest things with Ghost Recon Wildlands. Everywhere you looked, There were NPCs going about their daily lives, there were shop vendors on the side of the road, there were rebel patrols, there were all sorts of cool NPC behavior that you could see every single time you played the game, and that was one of the coolest things in Ghost Recon Wildlands that was definitely lacking in Ghost Recon Breakpoint. But from the character customization to the gunsmith to the NPCs in the open world to other AI systems, I think the game would have been much better if the developers would have been given proper time to make the game that they wanted to make. I do have to say that as of right now, Ghost Recon Breakpoint, even though it had an extremely shaky launch and post-launch, is the best third-person tactical shooter on the market today. There's a number of other tactical shooters out there that have their own niches, but when it comes to the broad spectrum of a third-person tactical shooter, Ghost Recon Breakpoint still does it very well, and with Operation Motherland bringing in a number of new features that we had been asking for since launch, the game is definitely in the best state that it has ever been since launch back in October of 2019. Originally, the developers said during the reveal livestream that they had plans on expanding the archipelago of Aroa to other islands, and there were even official statements made that there was going to be a second raid in the game as well, but all of that got cut short after the release of Operation Motherland. There was an entire island just to the east of the main island of Aroa that was called Moa Island. It was large enough to have at least 6 or 7 provinces of similar size to the ones that we saw on the main island, and unfortunately, we will never know what content was originally planned for that. Maybe one day we will get some sort of a documentary or a YouTube video or post by a former employee stating what was originally planned for future DLC for Ghost Recon Breakpoint before development was ceased, but that is definitely a topic for another video. So with all of that being said, here we are in May of 2023, over 3.5 years since the launch of Ghost Recon Breakpoint. And according to one of the most well-known leakers in all of gaming, Tom Henderson, there is supposedly a new Ghost Recon game that could possibly release in 2025. If that is indeed true, that would be nearly 6 years between Ghost Recon games, and that would most likely mean that the developers had at least a full 5 years to work on whatever that game is. Hopefully they have listened to all of the feedback from all of you in the Ghost Recon community, and we get the best game that we could possibly get and the game that we deserve. And on that note, that is where I'm going to wrap it up for today's video. Let me know your thoughts on all of this down below. Would you have wanted the developers to have more time during the development of Ghost Recon Breakpoint? Or are you happy that in the end we still got a pretty decent game even though it took a couple of years to get there? I'm definitely interested to hear all of your thoughts on that down below, but like I said, that is all for the video. If you guys enjoyed it, you are excited about the possibility of another Ghost Recon game being in development, make sure to drop a like on the video and also subscribe if you are new to stay up to date on everything surrounding the Ghost Recon franchise here on the channel moving forward. But that is all for now. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will catch you guys later. Peace out.